Hey, what's up guys, welcome to this video where we're going to be taking a look at 5 of my icon alternatives that you should be using that are going to cost you a fraction of the cost to replicate some of the best icons in the game that you'll be able to pick up for very cheap. Let me know if you think I've missed anyone out, if you've been using any good sort of informs or special cards that you think replicate an icon superbly well in the comments below. And if you enjoy the video, hit that like button and subscribe of course if you are new to the channel, as that will really help me out. So without further ado, we're going to kick off with our first player, which is the 88 rated Rebic. Now I feel that this guy is a very good alternative to 91 rated Shevchenko. Now this card is extremely expensive, very sought after because he has good pace, very nice dribbling, well, incredible shooting, let's be frank, at 92, and decent physicality. Whereas 88 Rebic really does replicate all of that, but yet he actually has the passing to boot, so you really can play this guy anywhere. Now obviously the icons will always have one thing that any special card doesn't have, and that is the fact that they link to absolutely everything. You can get icons into any of your teams, and Rebic, you know, doesn't have maybe the strongest nation to link in with other teams, so you really are sort of stuck with at least a German hybrid at the max. You know, whether you're using him with icons, maybe you'd get away with it, so he is a little bit more limited. But the Bundesliga has some great options, and he is easily one of the best strikers in that league, because let me tell you, this guy is phenomenal, absolutely insane. You can see it with the stats. He's got the pace, exactly what you want. 89 acceleration is fantastic, 94 sprint speed, phenomenal. So he has that pace, tick box straight off the bat. Then you look at the fact that he has very good attack positioning, he has really strong finishing, his shot power is incredible, really nice long shots, volleys and penalties are okay, but everything else is superb in that shooting column. His passing is also very nice. You know, with the right chemistry style on him, you can really up these areas as well. Vision, crossing, short passing, all neat and tidy, very good curve. Something that, you know, Shevchenko doesn't really have. You know, his vision is much less, short passing much less. Obviously he is better on the free kicks, is our Shevchenko, but that being said, it's a small price to pay, obviously, for the saving that you will get by using this 88 rated Rebic card. Really similar overall, much stronger is Rebic, he's a much more physical player. So I actually think this guy is not only an alternative, but actually is a better option than the 91 rated Andrei Shevchenko. So now our next pick comes in the form of the 86 rated Hirving Lozano, which is a fantastic card, really solid, also a dynamic rating too, so it's a small chance, but a small chance nonetheless that his rating could improve, although there are very few games left for that to happen. It does link up well, and I've personally compared this one to the 88 rated George Best. Now yes, that is the lowest rated George Best in the game, but it's still a really expensive card. You can pick up Lozano for a fraction of that cost, you know, almost sort of like 1/3 of the cost of George Best, which is incredible value. You know, Best, yes, is an icon, as we said before, can link in with anyone, but doesn't have the best nation in the world. You know, Lozano arguably has a stronger nation in terms of options for linking in with other Mexican players, and isn't in a terrible league. But what you get when you play this guy is an absolutely fantastic player. His stats are incredible. One of the fastest players in the game, you know, so good. He's a great super sub nonetheless. If you can fit him into a team, he's even better from the start, because he is so electric, very quick, you know, much quicker than George Best. His shooting column is insane, very clinical, actually feels much higher rated than some of those stats would suggest. He plays in game as good as Best. You know, he's got better attack positioning, so make very good runs. You know, maybe not quite as good on the finishing as Best, but he's very close. He has similar shot power, similar long shots, so they really do match up well in those areas. For me, passing wise on Lozano, very decent. You know, he's got good vision, his crossing is strong, really nice short passing. Yes, his long passing and curve aren't incredible, but actually as a passing column, for me, it's better than George Best, as you can see here. Very similar vision and crossing, but actually Lozano comes out on top. And those are probably two of the biggest areas that you would need on a winger. You know, agility wise, it's quite close, although the balance does weigh in favour really of George Best's card, but it's a really good matchup, and I think you can really have a lot more fun with Lozano for a fraction of the cost of George Best. So our next matchup comes in the form of the 86 rated Memphis Depay against the 87 rated Icon Stoichkov card. Now both are incredibly very overpowered players that are really good in multiple areas. Depay is much quicker than Stoichkov, and their dribbling very similar. Shooting wise, he does leave a little bit to be desired compared with Stoichkov, but it's very good. Passing is both equally matched and very similar on the physicality. These guys are really similar overall. You know, Depay has a strong nation as well, which is good. Plays in a very decent league. Tons of options for getting him into your team. Obviously, Stoichkov is an icon, so we'll link him with anyone. But when you compare their stats, they're actually really similar. As you can see there, obviously Memphis does win out on the pace, but attack positioning wise, really close. It's only the finishing where Stoichkov really leads the way, 88 compared with 81. But shot power does fall back in Depay's favour. You know, they're really similar stats overall. There's just a few little differences overall, but the actual way they play, their style of play being pacey, good finishers with very good passing and dribbling, and the physicality to boot is incredible. Now what I love about Memphis Depay, yes, maybe he's not the best aerially, but that's very similar to Stoichkov, and what he does have is that incredible strength. You know, where it was Stoichkov only has 77, Depay has 83. Now yes, he's not as aggressive as Stoichkov, but I think that trade-off for strength is very good. Dribbling wise, it really is an even matchup, as you can see. Passing also very similar. So overall, a really solid player that you can pick up, you can use and have a lot of fun with, that will save you a lot of money when you compare it with Stoichkov, which is still a very good card, but will cost you around twice as much. So now our penultimate pick comes in the form of Gerard Moreno versus the 88 rated, the same rating as Moreno, icon Kluivert. Now these two share a lot of similarities, you know, similar pace, similar style of dribbling, very strong shooting, and decent physicality and passing that is usable but nothing really to brag about. When you jump into their in-game stats, you see that Moreno, while a little bit slower, obviously that's why I've put the Hunter chemistry style on him, still has some decent pace to work with. He's not the slowest guy off the block. You know, with the right chemistry style on him, you can really up that. When you compare it to Kluivert, yes, Kluivert does win out in this area with 86 apiece on his acceleration and sprint speed, but in reality, it's only really the acceleration that's leaving a little bit to be desired on that Moreno card. When it comes to shooting, however, he more than makes up for it. 90 attack positioning with 90 finishing and 87 shot power is insane. He also has the long shots, volleys and penalties that are very strong. Similarly, so does Kluivert. You know, 88 attack positioning, 86 finishing and 87 shot power is really good. He's only really let down by his long shots, which is why his overall rating on the shooting isn't a little bit higher. Volleys and penalties also very good. Passing wise, similar, you know, but nothing really to stand out other than the vision being the biggest difference. Short passing wise, Moreno is actually a little bit better, as you can see, 87 versus 85, but the vision on Kluivert is just that little bit better. Agility and balance, pretty much they are exactly the same, you know, and dribbling overall is very similar on these cards. As you can see, Moreno just a little bit better in certain areas with very much similar stats throughout. In terms of strength, you know, very similar again. Kluivert does win out a little bit, you know, 84 against 81, but still very similar cards. And one actually that I really enjoyed using, Moreno I picked up very cheap, and his rating has slowly gone up throughout the knockout stages of the Europa League. Obviously they are out of that league now, unfortunately, but still an 88 rated player that you can easily use in a lot of teams because of his nation, because of his strong league. He is a really good alternative to those icons because he's a clinical finisher, and let me tell you, with the right chemistry style on him, you have got one deadly player that has the pace, has decent dribbling, and has the finishing that will outstand with some very decent strength too. So now we finish up with a surprising choice for many, although a very, very OP meta sort of card that we do end up on, which is the 87 rated Poulson. Now yes, not the most used player in the world, only plays in the Bundesliga, and he does have that Norwegian nationality, so he's not maybe what's going to be popping up in most people's squads, but he is a really, really overpowered player because he has really solid pace, incredible shooting, very decent dribbling, and insane physicality, great height as well, making him a very similar player but much faster than maybe an Ibrahimovic, to put him in context. I've compared him to the 91 rated, which is incredible, David Trezequet, who is a fantastic card, not quite as fast, much better shooting, similar dribbling, similar physicality to Polson, similar passing as well and defending also, but they're very similar cards, yet for me I think Polson is a great alternative, if not a better option. As you can see with his stats, he's a really, really good card. You know, 84 on his acceleration. Yes, not the fastest overall, but you can up that with the right chemistry style. Very good sprint speed once he gets going at 90, which is a little bit similar to Trezeguet in terms of his sprint speed is a bit better than his acceleration, but this is a card where you would definitely have to use that pace boost through a chemistry style on him, because in reality it's not really good enough to be using. In terms of his shooting, obviously Trezequet is absolutely incredible. In those first three attributes, he is ridiculous, 95, 96 and 93 apiece. But let me tell you, Polson isn't too far behind. 99 attack positioning is incredible and much better than Trezequet, but finishing at 89, 92 on the shot power is really, really good. Both maybe don't have the best long shots, although Trezequet does win out, and volleys very similar, penalties a little bit behind really where Trezequet is, but still usable overall. In terms of passing, Poulson does have the better vision, the better crossing, although these stats really don't mean too much. In terms of short passing, Poulson again does win out, which is a much more usable stat in these areas. Dribbling wise, Poulson has incredible agility. He really is let down by his balance however, but overall very good reactions, really nice dribbling as well at 87. A little bit more well-rounded in terms of his reactions, ball control and dribbling, but Trezequet doesn't have the agility or balance at all, making Polson for me the better pick in my opinion. Heading accuracy is really similar, although Polson does have way better jumping, as you can see there at 90. Heading accuracy though is very, very similar. Overall, the two are incredibly similar players, very, very good players that will definitely have that hold-up play to their game, that will score a lot of goals. But for me, Polson in this versus sort of against an icon, I think he comes out on top. I think he is a top player to be using. That is why I've recommended him. That concludes the video, guys. There are some interesting picks, I'm sure you'd agree. Obviously I did focus more on the attacking players, so let me know if you want to see this video again, maybe focused on some more midfielders, maybe some more defenders and goalkeepers even, where we do have similar situations where there are some much better bargain players out there that you could be using for a fraction of the price, but whom perform just as good if not better in some situations than these icons do. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know if you think of any suggestions in the comments below, and peace.